Thank you. Thank you, Rich. Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Good afternoon, neighbors. First off, let me say, some of you might have heard, some of my staff and members of the press that were traveling up with us were involved in a traffic accident on the way here today. We've spoken with the staff. I'm relieved to say that with a few minor injuries, everybody's going to be okay. So, thank you. President Biden and Vice President Harris called to check in, and we certainly appreciate their concern. And I want to express my sincere thanks to the U.S. Secret Service and all the local first responders for their quick reaction to help. So on behalf of the Vice President, myself, and our entire campaign, we're grateful for your work today and every day. Thank you. Happy Labor Day, folks. I have to tell you, I can't think of a better way to spend it than at Labor Fest right over here. I'm grateful for that. To Rich, the iron workers, they're lucky to have you. I appreciate that kind introduction. As always, to the mayor, thank you. Every time we come here, there's a big, enthusiastic crowd fighting for Middle America. So thank you, Mayor. And I had the privilege for years to serve in the House with your United States Senator, who is absolutely incredible. Send Tammy Baldwin back to the Senate. And it was a wonderful sight to come off that plane at the airport and be met with one of my dear friends and my colleague, Gwen Moore. There are many reasons to thank Wisconsin, but I have to tell you, on behalf of America, thank you for Tony Evers, a national treasure. And the First Lady of Wisconsin, Kathy Evers, thank you. And I have to tell you, when we have President Harris, she is going to need to have a majority in the House of Representatives. Send Peter Barca to Congress again. Send Peter Barca to Congress. Thank you to County Executive David Crawley for looking out for folks every day. And a special thank you to President Fent and the Milwaukee Area Labor Council for the invitations and putting this on. Point of personal privilege, a thank you to Minnesota's First Lady, my wife Gwen. She brings the fire. She brings the fire. To everyone who can't be here because they're working. They're working overtime, they're working jobs, they're working to keep us safe, they're working to keep the country running. Let's give them a big round of applause. And to all of you, could have been anywhere today. Last big fling of summer, could have been out doing something, could have been out boating, could have been doing anything. You came here for the reason the Vice President always said. It's beautiful and simple. You love this country, so you came here. Thank you. If you haven't heard, I was a teacher and a coach for a lot of years. So. And what goes with making a career out of teaching and coaching is I was a dues-paying member of my union. I always feel like maybe we should elect a few more dues-paying members to elected positions. So. Start thinking about it, folks. Start thinking about running. I can remember, and this was one, Republicans came up to me in one of my campaigns, and they said, Tim is in the pocket of organized labor. I said, that's a damn lie. I am the pocket. I am the pocket. And I told them, if you want to attack me for standing up for collective bargaining, for fair wages, for safe working conditions, for health care and retirement, you roll the damn dice. I'll take my chances on that. I'll take my chances. Folks, you know this. Unions and organized labor are more popular today than at any time in our lifetimes. Any time. And you know why? Because it's union halls where the purest form of democracy is practiced. The opportunity to speak your mind about your job, the opportunity to elect your leadership, the opportunity to talk about the things that impact your life and then go advocate for it. That's how democracy's supposed to work. That's how it's supposed to work. And I can tell you, Vice President Harris, as a protector of democracy, when we win this election, we'll have your back just like you've had our back. This is where we tell the story to our relatives. As California Attorney General, Kamala Harris sued the big banks because they were mismanaging pension funds. And when she won her court case, millions of dollars went back to working people and their families on their pensions that they earned. Vice President Harris was the deciding vote on the American Rescue Plan that kept workers on the job and the public safe during the pandemic. It was Vice President Harris and President Biden that protected over 1 million workers' pensions and retirees that we got back. And it's not bragging if it's true, she was part of the most pro-union administration in American history. From sticking up for workers to voting for fair legislation to walking picket lines, she was there with workers every step of the way. So look, some people want to tell you got to elect them because they're the only people that can save things. They're the ones that did things. They're the ones who did this. We know exactly who built this country. It was labor that built this country. We also know it was unions that built the blue wall, too, people, just to be very clear. If those guys think there's a crack in the blue wall, they are sadly mistaken, Governor Evers. They are sadly mistaken, Governor Whitmer. They are sadly mistaken with Governor Shapiro because the blue wall stands firm. It stands with workers. Really simple. It's really simple. When unions are strong, America is strong. We know that in Minnesota. As governor of Minnesota, it was my privilege to sign one of the biggest and best pro-worker packages in Minnesota history. We made it easier to form a union, not harder. We strengthened worker protections. You should be able to go home at the end of the day without getting killed on the job. That's a basic line. And in Minnesota, it's against the law to put your workers in a room and do an anti-union meeting. You can't do that. You can't do that. So today, you see it, Minnesota's one of the best states in the country for workers. But guess what? We're a top 5 best state for business, too. You don't have to choose between workers and business. You can do both. You can do both. Just think what would happen if Wisconsin, if you gave this man a majority in the House and Senate. What would happen here? Just imagine. One vote, one Senate vote in Minnesota was the difference between that. One Senate vote in Minnesota gave us paid family and medical leave. One vote expanded health care. One vote made sure that we're addressing climate change. That's what you can give to this governor, and that's what we need to give to Vice President Harris. That's our vision for the country. Now look, we don't expect everybody to think like us. Now we know that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, they have a little bit different vision of America. I do say this. He does know something about working people, Donald Trump does. He knows how to take advantage of them. That's what he knows how to do. Every single chance these guys have gotten, they've waged wars on workers in the middle class. As president, Trump blocked overtime for millions of workers. Hell, why pay the bills? He doesn't pay his own. Why should we pay somebody for overtime? What are they going to do? That's what they do. He opposed efforts to raise the minimum wage, for God's sakes. That shouldn't be that difficult. If people put in an honest day's work, they should receive an honest day's pay. And look, I know Wisconsin knows this. Again, give him a working majority because he's a guy who supports so-called right-to-work laws that deprives unions of the funds they need. Everybody here today knows what right to work really means. It means the right to work for less money. It means the right to work in dangerous situations. It means the right to work with no pensions. That's what right to work means. It doesn't help with our ability to collectively bargain and to fight with the dignity of work that we know every single person in America deserves. So look, I sometimes say this. We're running for something. We're running to run forward to the future. And I don't think it's always great to run against something, but I do think it's important to be informed. If you think those guys were bad the last time he was in the White House, just wait if he gets another shot at it. And again, they have told us exactly what they're going to do. The goals in Project 2025 are clear. It should be subtitled, How to Screw the Working People. That's how it should be listed. When you make it harder to unionize, you make it harder on all workers. Allowing employers to cut overtime pay or even eliminate it. Look, Project 2025 is even going after the 40-hour work week. Let's all be very clear. It's the folks standing here and those whose shoulders we stand on gave us the 40-hour work week and the weekend. So thank you, labor. Somebody said, what's next? Child labor? Hell yeah, it's in there. That's what they've got in there. You see states doing that, putting our children at risk. That's what they'll do. So look, they'll go after things like Social Security and Medicare. And I keep saying this. Repeal the Affordable Care Act. Go back to no pre-existing condition protections. And even if you're not on the ACA, you know somebody who relies on it. And here's what I say. They don't think a damn about Social Security because I guess if you've got $1 billion, you don't care if your Social Security check shows up. But I tell you who does, my mom. She pays the bills with that in the heat and buys food with her Social Security check, and she worked for it and earned it. That's how it works. Look, I know this is preaching to the choir, but we got about 64 days to sing, choir. We got 64 days to get to our relatives, to talk to them, to tell them what's out there. Look, this guy has made it clear how he stands. He's sitting down at Mar-a-Lago after he got elected president, and this was his exact quote. He's talking to a bunch of folks at Mar-a-Lago. You're rich as hell, and we're going to give you a tax cut. At the same time, he was telling workers they get paid too much already. That's who this guy is. You tell me who in Wisconsin is sitting around saying, damn, I wish they'd give billionaires tax cuts and screw me over. Damn, I wish they'd take my health care away. I wish they'd underfund my public school. I wish they would make my job more difficult and more dangerous. And then at the end of the day, I wish they'd make me work till I'm 75 years old. No one's saying that. No one's asking for that agenda. What they're asking for is to be treated fairly with dignity. That's what we have. Look. I know, we all know this. I remember a time when Republicans talked about things like freedom, they meant it. They would never turn their back on our allies. But that's not these guys. Trump and Vance, when they talk about freedom, means government should have the freedom to invade every corner of our life. They talk about small government, small enough to be in your bedroom, small enough to be in your exam room, small enough to be in your library, telling you the things that you should make decisions about. So let's be very clear. Where I come from and where you come from as neighbors, we respect differences. That's your opinion. Look, we're sitting here together, Brewers and Twins fans, Vikings and Packers. Look, we respect it. But on things like health care and what books I read and democracy, we all live by that very simple golden rule. Mind your own damn business. Mind your own business. Your Republican neighbors want to live that way. We have to tell that story. But look, I agree with this. We have a responsibility to tell people not just what we're against, but what we're for. So let me just take a second here to tell you exactly what Vice President Harris and I will do. As president, Vice President Harris will sign the PRO Act, make it easier to form unions, period. Period. And you know what comes out of that? You can collectively bargain. You can go do the work to get fairer wages, safer working conditions, good health care, and a good pension. I saw last week the Wall Street Journal was trying to say, because they did a story, that apparently I am the poorest person to ever run for vice president. But then they did another story that said, oh, he's actually richer than his statement says because he has, and I quote, like this is an evil thing, a defined benefit pension plan. That is my wish for every American, to have a defined benefit pension plan. So look, we'll lower taxes on working families, and we can make corporations pay their fair share. Look, they're doing really well. They can pay their fair share because guess what? We have a saying in Minnesota, when everybody does better, everybody does better. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. And you can be sure we'll keep fighting for Social Security and Medicare, and we're damn sure not going to tax us for the wealthy and raise the age on Medicare and Social Security. That will not happen. So look, we got it in Minnesota, and we want it for everybody. We're going to fight for paid family and medical leave for everybody in this country. Shouldn't be asking so much, spend a little time with your child after they're born, or if you've got chemotherapy treatments, to be able to not lose your house because you're getting health care. That's not that difficult. Well, we want to make sure that you don't just get by, but that you can get ahead and thrive. And be clear. We can't state this enough. I hope you're getting sick and tired of hearing about it, because this is the defining issue around freedom and the differences in it. We, Vice President Harris, myself, and everyone here believes that you should be free to make your own health care decisions, not politicians. It's simple. And to all of you here and my teacher friends, education should be a pathway to a thriving future, not crippling debt. And while we're on schools and kids, we believe our kids should be free to go to school without worrying about being shot dead in the halls. And I'm going to continue to say it. I'm a veteran and damn proud of 24 years of that. I'm a hunter and pretty good at that. And every year they do a congressional trap shoot. I was one of the best shots in Congress after all those years running. I got the trophies to prove it. I can outshoot these guys. So I support the Second Amendment, but I am not going to stand around and let people hide behind that when our first responsibility is to protect our children. That's our first responsibility. So that's our plan, and we're proud of it. Trump, he's going to keep hiding behind that. He says he doesn't know anything about this Project 2025, doesn't know a damn thing about it. Here's what I say. I coach football long enough to know you take the time to draw up a playbook, you're damn sure going to use it. You are damn sure going to run those plays, and you know how it starts. So you ask yourself, who's the right leader for our country? Kamala Harris, who has spent decades putting criminals behind bars, or Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who get up every single morning, run to the nearest camera, and whine how they're being treated unfairly. I'll damn sure guarantee you, when they wake up in the morning, they're not thinking about you. You can be sure of that. They've never thought about you. Since the very beginning, Donald Trump has been running on the politics of fear. Look, I know something about that. I supervised the lunchroom for a bunch of years. Fear. Fear is a good short-term motivator, but it doesn't inspire people. It doesn't change their behaviors. And what I did know about that lunchroom, too, is the bullies who want to instill fear, they're the first ones to find out what happens when the tide turns. He's running scared now. He's running scared. So look, all of the policy positions, all of the good policy positions, all of the things we know to be true, but we get a rare opportunity, too, to put an end to that divisiveness, to put it behind us, a future where we work together. And as I said, there's a lot of differences in here. We're a big tent party. We got a lot of differences that can come together. But at the end of the day, to find that new way forward, we put those differences aside, and let's get together for 64 days to take this country forward. Let's move on. I feel like I've done pretty well in here, so I'm not going to throw any shade on the Packers, I have to tell you. I kind of got you. I'm going to be there. Look. I hear all the jokes. People hold up their hand and say, you know what that is? That's a Viking Super Bowl ring. We know we don't have one. Give me a little bit of this. So look, we know what season it is. Football starts this week. We know that we're all on the same team. We know that we come together. It isn't just idle talk. When we come together, we can do amazing things. So here's the deal. Sisters and brothers in labor, it's time to get off the sidelines and get on the field. I know you're busy. I know you've got full-time jobs. You got kids going back to school. Thank God they're going back to school. Teachers, nothing on that. But you've got things to do. But this is it. And when people come up to me, and I hear it, and I know, they want to make politics ugly. They want to make it dismissive, and they want to make it to the point where people just throw up their hands and say, look, I'm just not that into politics. My response when somebody tells me they're just not that into politics is this: too damn bad politics is into you. And if you want it in your exam room, if you want it in your bedroom, if you want it in your labor hall, then set back. But if you want to take control of things and you want to make sure that we have government serves the people, not the other way around, then you need to get out there. Whether it's labor rights, middle class rights, having corporations pay their fair share, all those things that impact our lives means we need you on the team, and we need you now. So here's what we're going to do. We're doing it because we believe in the promise of America. We're doing it for folks, and some of you, I know you have your barbecues, and folks come and they say, oh, I wish I was in a union and had pension plan and things like that. And once again, yeah, we wish you were too. We wish you were too. Talk about the things we can make a difference. We're going to have to fight for this. It's not going to be easy. We're coming from behind, as I said, but we're comfortable in that position because I talk about this. The vice president oftentimes says this: when we fight, we win. We know that that's the case. You know what? When you talk to labor, you don't have to talk about fighting. You've been fighting your whole damn lives. It's what you do. You fight for everything you get. They're not going to give you that raise unless you go in there. They're not going to give you those protections unless you go in there. So look, if we're going to do this thing, I keep saying this. We got 64 days. You've heard me say this. Some people are taking this pretty seriously, me included on this, is we'll sleep when we're dead. Now is not the time. Now is not the time. We need to knock the doors, make the phone calls, register people to vote, give what we can, encourage people to get out there, have the conversations, and the one thing that the vice president does it all with is hard work can be good work. Difficult tasks can be done with a sense of joy because our country depends on it. Our children depend on it. And to be quite candid, the rest of the world depends on us to stand up and vote for a pro-democracy, pro-worker, pro-future candidate. So it's our time. So let me say, when we fight,